Welcome back to Clicks and Bricks podcast. My name is Ken. Today, I say this all the time, but I am really super excited today to bring Renee on the show. She's with Smoking Hot Books, and she was my book coach for Reclaim Sobriety, my second best-selling book. And I do not believe I could have got it over that hurdle without Renee's help. Renee, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks so much for having me on, Ken.
Before we get in, obviously we've known each other now for, I think, almost 2 years. We were on the
Yeah.
blocks together, season 12. Had a great time. And then I brought you on our team to help with Reclaim Sobriety, my first solo book that became bestseller. And your insight there was phenomenal. Before we get into the interview section, can you tell the audience a little about who you are as an entrepreneur and what led you to the path of Smoking Hot Books?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Ken. So, yeah, my name's Renee, and I run a consultancy, a book marketing consultancy called Smoking Hot Books. And in essence, we help self-published authors who know nothing about getting their book out there. Maybe they know what it's like to write a book. Maybe they don't even know how to write a book. But how do you even write a book, get it put together? How do you get it out there? How do you avoid all the scams? How do you use social media? How do you do all these things so that it actually sells thousands of copies and actually grows your brand and business? You'd be surprised how many people try to do this, try to become a best-selling author, but it's actually they get so far as they hit maybe, if they sell a few hundred copies and then they just end up sitting in cardboard boxes in their garage for the rest of their life, and they never really get the book out there. And so it is our job, and this is the problem we solve, is to help self-published authors like Ken to maximize the tools available on Amazon and through podcasting to sell thousands of books and grow a brand and grow a business. And so I haven't always been doing this. In fact, for a really long time, I was just publishing books and self-publishing books, not realizing that I was actually accumulating knowledge along the way. But this all started in 2020. Everyone has like a 2020 story. Mine was I was on my first day at my real corporate job, the first job I'd ever had. And I had my first meeting with my boss. And then after my first meeting, I started Googling how to make money online. And I was just like, I don't think this is my long-term plan. Entrepreneurship is my long-term plan. But of course, I had no idea where to even begin, what kind of business to do, nothing. And so I saw a YouTube ad that said, hey, you want to make some money selling books online? And I was absolutely I took that bait and went all in and published 4 flops, so to speak. I worked, wrote and published and marketed, several books. And, of course, failure and flops is like a subjective term. But at the time, I was not making any kind of money with these self-published books. I was like making $250 a month. And I was like, I want to make $10,000 a month so I can retire to Bali and work on my laptop at the beach, right? Like like all that whole like Instagram thing, like that's what I want, right? But I was like, it was not working. So finally, what happened was let's say I got good enough. Like I was acquiring skills along the way. I was making mistakes, skinning my knees, spending tons of money, having conversations with my boyfriend and husband about, hey, I want to buy this other coaching program. He's like, what online coaching program are you talking about? But so I finally published this book called Harvesting Rainwater for Your Homestead in 9 Days or Less. And this book is not a personal brand book. It's not, I know nothing about well, let's not say that, but I had never harvested a drop of rainwater in my life. This book is a profitable niche on Amazon. So you find topics that are in high demand, but low competition, and then you reverse engineer the book that people are looking for. So that's what I did. And the entire time I'm learning about marketing, I'm learning about Amazon, I'm learning about how to leverage what is called the Amazon algorithm, which is Same algorithm, YouTube has an algorithm, Instagram has an algorithm, so does Amazon. So I'm learning how to do all this. And that book is takes off. It's smoking. All right. And all of a sudden, I'm like lying in my bed one day at 10 p.m. and the book sales are no, they're taking off. I'm making money from these book sales, and someone messages me on Facebook Messenger and says, "Hey, do you want to be on my podcast and talk about rainwater?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, this is so weird." And of course, like any good entrepreneur, you don't say no to a interesting opportunity, right? You're just like, "Yeah, okay, I'll try it. Let's see what happens." And that led to another speaking gig that led to more opportunities. I even flew out to Hawaii to, I was invited to Hawaii by these rainwater, they run their own rainwater business, and I was a guest speaker. I was Renee the rainwater gal, and I had no idea how, like, I was like, when you're just like floating down the river and all of a sudden you're like somewhere down the river you didn't expect. And this was what was happening with this rainwater book, because it had done so well. I was thrust to the forefront of as the face of this topic. And this was not what I intentionally wanted, but I finally clicked that this is exactly what Marie Kondo did, what Jack Canfield did, what Mike McAllowitz did, what, all the Alex Hormozy, all the authors we value and admire have done this. They write a great book and they sell the heck out of it, and they become known as the go-to person for that topic. And so I finally, I remember feeling like I cannot be Renee the rainwater girl anymore. In fact, I even thought that like that was the path to building my, seven-figure business dream. But it definitely wasn't. I finally was like, that is so out of integrity. I cannot be Renee the rainwater girl anymore. Had a dark night of another soul. I was like, I have to start all over. In order to actually help people self-publish books and actually market books, I would need to start from zero. And so that is what I did. So Smoking Hot Books started as one post on Substack, and it has grown little bit by little bit into more clients. Ken was one of my first clients. There you go. There you have it. We've sold we've helped yeah, dozens of clients now, and all of them are here learning how to write an amazing book, learning how to market it, all with minimal social media as well. So exciting stuff.
That is amazing. I love it. I recall being one of your first clients, and I was excited about that.
Yes.
And the deciding factor was, so I'll just give you my book story really quick so the audience can kind of frame this. My first best-selling book was, I partnered with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. We knew it was going to be a bestseller when we went into it, right? We had a good budget. We knew it was going to be a bestseller. We had 15 other authors. I did that because I knew that having a bestseller under my belt would help me get a bestseller on my own personal journey story. So that's why I did that. And then I was going through and I was writing Reclaim Sobriety, which was not Reclaim Sobriety. It was Entrepreneur Fight Club, which I'm writing now. Uh, and my editor just kept kicking it back to me and saying, this has got to be about your addiction. This has got to be what it is. Very similar to what you dealt with the rainwater stuff. I wrote a really great book that's helping a lot of people, and that's wonderful. And we keep the marketing going. But I couldn't be Ken Reclaim Sobriety for my whole life. That was just, I don't want that. That's never what I wanted. So I just want to talk a little bit about that pivot for people because writing a book is art. You pour your heart and soul into it. Journalism is art. You did a lot of research on rainwater before you wrote the book, right?
Yeah.
And although you never did it, you have to have some passion to get it over the finish line. And you get something over the finish line because you just do so many things, and then something finally works. It doesn't align with who you are, and you've got to make that decision to change. And that's a huge sunk cost,
I know.
scary as hell.
Yeah.
Is that something that you're comfortable going in and talking about the feelings of like the nitty gritty behind, I'm a book author and I'm going to change I'm going to stop promoting this book that's paying me to do public speaking all over the world, flying to me Hawaii. I'm going to stop doing that and then
Yeah.
start this new venture that I think is going to help more people. Because talk to a
Yeah.
lot of people that quit corporate America and go into entrepreneurship. You did a
Yeah.
big entrepreneurship pivot, and you did that consciously, and I think
Mm.
that's an important story to get out. So I don't want
Yeah.
to put you on the spot too much, but talk
No,
to us,
it's a good
Renee.
story. Yeah. I there is an element, I'm gonna say it out loud, there's an element of embarrassment to it because from what I looking back on that story, as I was writing these books and creating these books, what I was really chasing, of course, was the money. I was like, I need the money so that I can follow my dreams. And I want to follow my dreams. I can't live in this corporate box under fluorescent lights forever. There's no way. And so like the the only my consciousness was small enough to not understand that I was like the only way that I can pursue my dreams and have freedom was to have the money. So I wanted the money so bad. And I was ready to basically do anything for it, which I mean, I didn't kill anybody for it. I mean, but at the same time, looking back, what I did was I was hiding. This book that sold 15,000 copies has a pen name. It doesn't have my name on it. It's a pen name. It's what I was doing was I was hiding behind this veneer because I was so afraid to be known as someone who's out there, being successful. And not only that, but someone who's like going out there and chasing money. Not That's what I thought in my head, thinking that people would think that about me. Not realizing that people would think other things. I mean, I can't control what other people think about me, but when I was when I was there, I was so ashamed of my own relationship with money and how other people would perceive me as successful. Um, and when I was in Hawaii and I was talking to these folks who legit are living on rainwater because the island of Hawaii, like 50 to 60% of the people there actually live on rainwater. There's minimal city water. And so these people are legit, their livelihood is rainwater. And I'm talking to them and I'm sharing what I know and I'm caring about them and sharing them. And at the same time, there's that nagging voice that does not go away that says, "What are you doing, Renee? This is not my movie." Sarah Blakely has that moment when she's like selling fax machines, and then all of a sudden she's like, I have to do something else. She's like, "This is not my movie." And that was when I was like, this is not my movie. There's no way that I can be that person that's just gonna pretend to be Renee the rainwater girl forever. And I was good at pretending for a while, right? And I think that's also we don't know our edge until we find it. We're good at pretending, we can like figure it out until we hit that wall and then you're just like I can no longer pretend. So I look back on that time as actually someone who didn't realize that she was thrust into this period of her integrity was being challenged. And it was. And I was constantly trying to find ways to like build and scale this business because I was like, this could be a seven-figure business, a rainwater business. It's so in demand, it's so needed. Um, but I was like up against this wall. And I even remember going to like an Airbnb for a weekend to just like contemplate like what am I doing with my life? And yeah, it was really hard. It was like I would have to if I actually was going to do something that I did, that meant I would have to start all over. That means I would start from zero. That means I would have to actually put myself out there. I couldn't hide anymore. I would have to own that I know something, that I'm an expert at something, and that
Because you
was
did it, not because you
terrifying.
researched it.
Say that one more time.
Bec- because you did the work, not because you researched the work. And that's
Yes.
so important. And this is so cool because I never hear this particular side of the narrative of imposter syndrome, right? Because we all deal with
Yeah.
most successful people in life. If it, however you want, I think most people define success as business and money. However you want to define success. If we define success with businesses and money, successful people generally have a coach of some kind, or mentors or something, right? We're very seldomly, I would say almost never are you doing it alone.
Mhm.
And the coaches, we talk about imposter syndrome a lot, but what we never talk about, that I've never heard anybody talk about, is what happens when imposter syndrome is real and it affects your actual integrity, right? And that's kind of what you're talking about is your
Yeah.
imposter syndrome in that particular case scenario was about the fact that you did the research, but you didn't have any lived experience. And now you're talking to people with real lived experience as you're the master of that domain. And you might be, but you couldn't live with yourself being that person or it didn't align with you. So, and I think that's so important to talk about because sometimes imposter syndrome's real and it's telling you to do something different, but your coaches are saying, oh, that's
Don't
just
listen.
imposter syndrome. That's just
Yeah.
anxiety. You have to get over that. But sometimes
Yeah.
it's just not aligning. So
Yes.
did you have people say, no, you're just being crazy. You need to push through this? Or did you have support in the, hey, let's burn this 50,000 copy book seller and start something different?
No, because yeah, I was so this is something I coach even my students on is that your dark night of the soul is something that you had to figure out for yourself. When everyone is saying something else, you had to figure out something else. And this was the thing that I had to figure out on my own because I was publishing these books in a course. So I was in a Facebook group with 50,000 other students who were doing the exact same thing like me, who were making bank from selling books that they weren't personally an expert on. They're hiring ghostwriters or whatever to write these books. Um and so there's 50,000 other people saying, "You're doing great, Renee. You're doing the right thing, right?" And that's I feel like it took so long for me to like actually listen and not just listen but follow my intuition because I was just like, for so long I was just so in my head. It was like this is the right way. The money is this way. Follow the money. Follow the money. All these people are saying go this way, and you're absolutely right, Ken. This imposter syndrome is totally different. In the course, the coaches were saying, don't worry, it's just anxiety, it's just fear. And there is that element, of course, to like overcoming fear. But when you are just like living in a reality that is constantly asking things of you that don't seem you don't recognize, or like, okay, I have to follow myself
Right.
now.
This
Yeah.
is where and I think this is where the toxic hustle culture
Mm,
collapses, I believe. When
mm,
when imposter syndrome is real, your mission does not align with your actions and you
yeah.
feel like a horrible person, I think that's when money becomes dirty and you
Mm,
get embarrassed about chasing the money. My
yeah.
next book is about authenticity.
Mm,
100% as raw and as pure as you can possibly get. And it's, I mean, I cry almost every night writing it. So
wow.
it is,
There you go. That's when you know
um,
it's truth.
and that's the art, right? But what
Yeah.
you were doing wasn't art; it was pure business. And
Right.
and I feel like we're coming into a time with AI and robotics that the human element is going to be so much more the lived experience and the sharing of the lived experience, the lived knowledge is going to be so much more important than the
Mm,
researchability because
yeah,
we're
I would
living in
agree.
a world that all knowledge has been
Yes.
democratized to $20 a month,
Yes.
right? So if you want to learn
Right.
how to collect rainwater today, you can just have
Yeah.
a chat GPT account and it'll teach you about
Yeah.
cisterns and all kinds of stuff. And I probably know more about collecting rainwater than I should, but I am a bit of a survivalist myself. So uh, this is really great stuff. You had 4 flops that you call them. I would
Yeah.
say great job on only having 4 before your 5th one took off. I probably have 100. Nah, not. I probably have 15. 15 or
Okay.
20 total just like, um, like grandpa's diary fishing and stuff like just weird,
Sure,
self-published,
yeah.
no content,
Yeah.
low content books. And
Yep.
I could tell you, and if the audience is out there watching, the process that I went through with Renee, and I came on a little late. I had my book done. The editor was done with it. It was completed, and I just needed help getting it over the fence on the marketing side. And she came with a Kanban, which is just the process that you use to bring it to market, um,
Mhm.
which was huge for me. Um, I had four flops, or I had a lot of flops. You had four flops. When someone comes to you today and it's their first book, how many successes are they getting by going through your program on their do you do a lot of first time authors, or are they coming to you after they've made some attempts?
That's a really great question. I have noticed that the people who are coming in, who are, like, dedicated, committed, who have, like, seen the light, are usually those who are their second time or more time authors. They've already got the experience under their belt. They realize that the process is, um, more about them as the author. They're the CEO of this project, and they're the manager of this project, and it's up to them to get this book out in the world, and that it's up to them to learn. So yeah, there are some first time authors, but I know that they're going to have a learning curve too, and that's okay. That's totally fine. It's all about the process. Yeah.
The tasks that you gave or that you
Mhm.
provide aren't challenging. They're time consuming. They're not hard to do, and the way you give them to me was very organized, and this is what you need to do. You have any questions
Sure.
about it, and move forward.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put you on the spot hard here, Renee.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a really challenging question. Out of the authors that have come on to Smoking Hot Books
Mhm.
and followed your process,
Mhm.
have there been any flops?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, what's a flop really? I mean, here's the thing is that yeah, I'm saying it was a flop because I didn't I wasn't making the money I wanted to make from that. But every single one of my clients have, and I teach them how to do this, I train them how to do this, is to wring out every opportunity you can from being a number one published best-selling author. And so like Beth, one of my very first client, she was my very first client. I worked with her for 6 months for $500, and she sold 1,000 copies within the first 6 months. She took that and ran with it. She used it to get on to top 2% podcasts, and now she was recently on Good Day PA. She, took that and then got a brand deal, and these are all things that I'm coaching them on how to do. Is also her as well. Like, this is what she had in mind for herself. But, I mean, yeah, currently I would say that everyone is no, you don't have to necessarily sell a ton of books for it to find success. You get that you find that level of, that base level of success, and then you kind of had that springboard. And that's what's so fun about books is that not once you have that springboard, you can use that to leverage, podcasting, speaking, brand deals, all the things. So, yeah, the opportunities are really great.
It's wild. And the process that you put together is very organized. Here's your steps. I don't know
Good
how, if
feedback.
you followed it, I don't know how you could have a failure launch. If you actually did the work, or paid somebody to
Yes.
do the work for you, it doesn't really matter. And
Yes.
I'll tell you my big moment was I got a call I followed the process that you told me to do of reaching out to people in the community before it ever went out, right?
Yes.
Literally a couple days after the launch of the book, I got an email from a lady in the United Kingdom saying, "Hey, we love your book and we'd like to put it in the United Kingdom prison system to start teaching these men how to change their identity about addiction." Which gives me goosebumps still talking about it today. And I'm so excited about that. And I use that line that my book's the United Kingdom's prison system to help them overcome addiction.
Yes.
That's a powerful
Yes.
line, right? And you don't get those things unless you do the work to get there. And can you tell the audience that are passionate about writing and they just want to do the art and they
Hmm.
publish their book, but they don't want to do the online marketing? What's going to happen to their book?
Oh my gosh. I mean, first of all, you gotta clean up any thoughts you have about marketing. Um, I mean, marketing is sharing. You see a really good movie and all you wanna do is just tell someone else about it. That's a really, really great book. When you read a really great book, and this is all part of, I have a book marketing program, and part of it is teaching you how to write a book that's so good that people have to tell someone else. And all we're then doing is amplifying it with helping you amplify it using things that feel good to you, that feel in service to other people. I was just talking to a client the other day about the title of her book, and, she was like, I don't want to change it. This is about me and my alignment with the book. And I'm telling her, this book is for your clients. This book is for your customers. You love them. Title your book in a way so that they see themselves in your title. This is all book marketing, by the way. We sometimes think that marketing is like TV ads and, magazine ads, and it feels scammy, used car salesman. No, it's about living as an embodiment of loving your customers first, and every decision you're making is loving your customers first. Um, so I mean, that's the thing, is that when you have artists who love to write, I mean, that's totally fine. That's great. But I mean, my life has been changed. I have this book right here, Rich Dad Poor Dad. My life was changed when I read this book. And the only reason I learned about this book was because Robert Kiyosaki cared enough about his message that he put it out there. He put it out there, put it out there, put it out there. People got to know about this. People got to know about this. I care about you. I care about you. I care about you. And so when you write for yourself, that's totally fine. You can write for yourself, but marketing is sharing the thing that is so important to you that you cannot keep it to yourself any longer.
If you just want to write for yourself, write for yourself. You don't have to push the publish
Absolutely.
button, or maybe
Yeah.
that's blog content,
Yep.
right? And then I hated the fact that my author kept, this was like 4 years of the editor kicking it back to me saying, it's got to be
Hmm.
about the addiction, Ken. He's like, either got to take the addiction out completely, or it's got to be all about the addiction. And I just
Wow.
kept kicking him. I'm like, no, that's not what I want to do. And he's like, it's going to be a good book if you do that. And this book right now is garbage, because it's like, is it business or is it addiction? Like, which one is it?
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
um, I hated him for it, but I ended up taking it as advice.
Wow. I'm so glad that you did.
Because again, like you, I didn't want to be, I mean, I've publicly, I mean, I went to jail for my
Yeah.
addiction. So, I've,
Yeah.
everybody knows I wasn't hiding anything, but it's embarrassing to talk about. And I
Yeah.
put it out there in a wildly public way. Um, and then marketed that, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, so, you said you care about your customers, and for an author, especially if you're doing self-help or how-to books or anything along those lines, or talking about yourself in any way or your lived
Mhm.
experience,
A really good point. Yeah.
I think that it's really important that you don't have to love your audience. You have to love who you were when you were going
Yeah.
through that journey.
Yeah.
And that's who you're talking to. And if you talk to that person publicly out loud, oh my God, you're going to get sales. And you're it's going to come, and you're not going to be able to stop it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is living your life fully, honestly, and openly.
Yeah.
And if you do
Yeah.
that, you can't turn the money spout off.
Yeah. I was talking to someone, she's a prospect, but she is writing a book about phone addiction. And she spent like what probably felt to her like 12 months in a haze of like, constantly addicted to her phone. And she was like trying all these different tactics to beat phone addiction, right? And of course nothing's working because it's an internal thing. It's emotional, it's an identity thing. It's like, and there's so much shame wrapped around it. It's like, I should be better than this phone. I should be better than this phone addiction. And I was encouraging her to let her know that you have no idea how many of us probably are battling some version of phone addiction, and we're ashamed of it, and we're embarrassed by it, and we're like, whether it's phone, whether it's whether it's alcohol, whether it's anything, like, your message. And I was literally talking of the same story I was talking about with the rainwater thing. Someone else saw themselves in that rainwater story, in that feeling fearful about that story, and I wasn't trying to sell or anything. She saw herself in that story and was like, "Hey, I wanna have a sales call with you. I want to know how to sign up with you." Your authenticity is a magnet people are, business strategies are a dime a dozen now. What's not replicable is you and your magic.
And
That
your
is what people
past,
want. Sorry?
your magic and your past, your
Exactly. Your
experience.
mess is your magic.
Absolutely, it is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm dedicating a big portion of my life to teach people how to do that now. Unfortunately, we lived in a world for the past 200 years where that has been
Yep.
educated away from humanity, of
Totally.
being yourself. And now we
Right.
live in a world of AI where all of
Right.
these things are so democratized. Like, you literally have the smartest people in every facet of business, education, entertainment, society, psychology, sociology at your fingertips. Use them in that capacity, not just this dumb box where you're asking it a generic question, right?
Mhm.
So, and we can't get away from AI in 2025. So let's just jump in. I do a lot with AI. I've released my first album last month, Cox Out. Is This Real? And it's doing pretty good. I can't, I'm shocked at the songs that are taking off and the ones that aren't.
Listen to it. I'll have to listen to it.
It's a very symbiotic relationship between technology and humanity. Is
Okay.
the underlining thing of it. And then my personal stories, which are just fun and goofy. It's a comedy. I have a theory right now that the way to hack the AI is feed it with contradictory data as much as possible.
Yeah, and then yeah, you'll get some interesting stuff coming out of that.
And I'm enjoying that, and it's a lot of fun. So I do use it to help me write my blog posts. I use AI at a wildly high level, but in a way that it feels very authentic.
Mhm.
Can you tell the audience how you're advising your authors on
Mhm.
how to use AI morally and ethically to create wonderful content? And I'm going to go back and give Wes from the blocks a little bump here.
Mhm.
The blocks is a great program. If you don't know anything about business, Beta Blocks is a phenomenal program, especially when you're getting started. I went through it after 25 years in business. I didn't learn a whole lot, but the one thing that Wes did teach me that I'm putting into practice at breakneck speed right now, because AI gives me the ability to do it, is every piece of content that I create in as
Mhm.
many modalities as possible.
That's good. Yep.
And that's the one thing that Wes was always talking about is you need to present this in different modalities because people understand things differently. And for
That's so
me,
good.
that is the number one thing that AI lets me do
Mhm.
is take the same concept and publish it in multiple modalities fast
That's
in
good.
ways that are high quality. So that's my tip on how to use AI. And I think it's a very unique
That's pretty good.
position for AI use. And I'd love to hear what you're telling your authors to use it and how you're telling them to use it.
Yeah, I mean, I use AI every day. I mean, when you're stumped on ideas, just hey, Claude, I use Claude. Hey, how's it going today? I need some ideas for this. I mean, is that morally or ethically wrong?
It would be no different than having an employee there.
I personally don't think so. Um, one of my clients, so she's writing a book on how to become a seven-figure ghostwriter, and she started her journey in Hollywood screenwriting. And she had a dinner with one of the guys who's still in Hollywood, and he was saying that basically everyone in Hollywood screenwriting is using AI now. But they're keeping it a secret because they feel scared to tell everyone that they're using AI because they're using AI as a thought partner, they're using AI to get the juices flowing, they're using AI to make their writing more structured, more brisk to make it easier to read. AI is not a tastemaker. You're the tastemaker. You're the one with the taste, with the juice, with the pizzazz, with the person who has the perception. You're the one who sees these weird analogies in the world and you want to bring it together. I was reading this really cool post the other day about how, like when writers write about the color of your eyes, they want to say, it's like the color of the leaves and how they just they form together and how they make you know, it smells like grandma's kitchen, and that's writing, that's art, right? And AI is just there to help you make your writing easier to understand and easier to read. And so when you can come at that place with AI as your assistant, is your helper, is your employee, you get to still be the, you know, the CEO of your project. AI is just that thing that's like, okay, great, you know, no problem. I can briskly restructure your sentences. I can add some you know, I see there was some punctuation errors. Here you go. It's so fast, so quick, and it can be as ethical as you using hiring an employee in your business.
Yeah. I have seen some what I would call ghetto ways of using AI.
Okay.
Very low effort input, very low effort output.
Yes.
These loops that they make to create the auto posting shorts with just the
Mhm.
text on them, right? Those
Mhm.
things are going to happen, and they're going to happen at breakneck speed. And I think what's going to end up happening is that the quality content is just not going to get shown, or not quality content's not going to get shown, and quality content is. And you're going to
Mhm.
use the AI tools to help you make amazing content from your stories. I think this is
Totally.
the most important thing that the world can understand right now is your stories have value, your experiences have value. Use AI to help you bring those stories to life for other people so that they can use your stories to overcome their own shit in their life. Right? Like that's what we're just helping the next stage of per humans get through what they're going through. That's the goal. And I have a huge problem when I'm with a human that I believe that they know everything that I know, which is absurd. And I don't know why I believe that, but I just um I have this weird equality thought process in my head that we're all equal, and for some reason I think that's equal intelligence when I'm with somebody, or equal not even intelligence, knowledge, right?
Hmm.
Just the knowledge
Mhm.
that they have. But if they've never read the rainwater book, why would they have any knowledge about collecting rainwater?
Yeah.
But I'm an
Yeah.
absurd human that reads all night, almost every night, about all kinds of random stuff. So I have a knowledge about all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
Woo!
you know, you mentioned something, and that's the something that we're noticing, and this is also the theory with like money, is that money is like an activator. It like just makes bad people more bad, or makes good people even more good, more generous, more able to do more and more good with it. And that's the thing with AI, is that if you're going to be lazy with it, if you're going to just use it to like try to make a quick buck and trying to like, you know, game in, it'll look that way and it'll just die into obscurity. It'll fade into obscurity because people see that it amplifies what's already there. But if AI is meant to amplify great stories, great experiences, quality content that moves people, it's just going to get amplified even more and more and more. So I think it's an exciting time.
Absolutely. I'm on a mission to let people know to use the tools to
Mhm.
create the things that they've always wanted to create, but somewhere in the
Mm.
back of their head, they're like, I don't have the resources to do that. You
Uh-huh.
now have the resources.
Yeah.
Like, you have the resources to do almost anything on the planet that you want to do. You can make a feature movie, you can write a book, you can start a company, you can, like, literally whatever dream you have, you can get started today.
Yes.
Was not the case 20 years. Wasn't There were some dreams that you could chase 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Not the way you can today. It is your biggest problem today, I think, is what do I want to focus on? What is my biggest passion?
Yeah,
What is my
there's a
biggest
lot.
dream?
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
I want to talk for a second about the algorithms. You said algorithms in the beginning,
Okay.
and that Amazon has its own algorithm.
Mhm.
And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to put you on the spot here too much or not. And if I do, let me know, and we'll back out
Please.
and go a different direction.
Oh, please.
The algorithm has been follower based up until this year. And the algorithms have been changing in 2025 to content based
Hmm.
or desire based content. So it's
Hmm.
not so much that I follow this person. See, algorithms are starting to put stuff in front of you that they believe you might like based on the meta content. Have you done any research on this?
No.
Okay.
This
I
is
would
news
start
to me.
looking into how TikTok is changing their Gary Vee's talking about it at a pretty high level right now, that we're changing from this follower
Mm,
mentality where I have to have the followers, where
mhm,
nope, the algorithms are getting good enough that they're doing a deep dive into the video, they're doing a deep dive into the books, they're understanding
hmm,
the content, and they're
cool.
presenting it to the people most likely to engage with that specific content, regardless if you follow them or not. Um,
Interesting.
I think it's really cool. And I believe that that is one of the catalysts that is required for AI to really take hold, because I
Mm,
think, and I'd love your opinion here, we are, well, I'm going to say we are in the digital art renaissance era
hmm, hmm.
in this moment right now. That's the era that we're living in. 200 years from now, they're going to go, that's the digital
That
art
was the
era.
digital art center. Yeah.
Like there's no doubt about it. And I
Huh.
believe that the
Yeah.
independent digital art is going to grow bigger than it ever has in the
I think
past.
so. Yeah, I think so.
Right.
That
So
tracks. Yeah.
I would like to hear your thoughts on, you know, the independent artist versus, the publishing house.
Yeah.
And should I be making a thought process to going to a publishing house? Because I took this show, Clicks and Bricks, I took it from independent in season 2.
Mhm.
Season 3 was with the network. Season 4 is
Right.
not with a network. I
Right.
I did not like working with the network, and I've never worked with the publisher. So I'd like to know your
Yeah.
thought processes behind independent publishing and looking for a publisher. And I know that there's a couple different kinds of publishers out there now, because I'm getting solicited from different kinds. Like there's a pay to
Oh,
pay
okay.
publisher, and then there's a hey, we'll pay you to publish kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty weird.
There's a lot of models. Yeah. Um, I've never worked with a publisher, so I'm biased. Um, but there's a reason, not just that I am experienced in self-publishing, that I love self-publishing and have encouraged all the people in my world to self-publish, because yes, self-publishing is like making sauce from scratch. The learning curve is like, well, shoot, I got to learn how flavors go together. I got to gather the ingredients. Possibly, I want to grow my ingredients so that they're the highest quality. I want to know how the people are eating this sauce, how they love, what sauces they love, what sauces go with this wine, what sauces go with this food. I got to make sauce from scratch. You own the whole process, and the process gives you an outcome that you are so proud of, and you own the process and you own the results. So, when it comes to entrepreneurs nowadays, and uh, the AI revolution, you'll see, you know, people who are lazy, people who just want to just make a quick buck, and they'll try to churn out things. And when it comes to serving their customers, they're willing to find a shortcut. They're willing to, see how can I just hire someone else to just take over my thinking. When it comes to self-publishing, you are forced to own every single step of this process. And the result is you become an absolute master at your content, at the story, your own stories. You learn how to tell your own stories in a masterful way. You learn how to tell your stories in a way um, that affects your customers and your clients and your readers. You learn how you know every word in your book. You know how to choose a cover and a title that your customers and your readers are going to absolutely magnetize towards. And yes, it takes longer. Yes, you don't have a team of people who are just working in the background saying, "Hey, you like this? Hey, you like this? Hey, you like this?" No, you are intentionally going in because there is no other option, because you love the process of making sauce from scratch, of going into the ocean and getting your own oysters and taking them to your restaurant and shucking them by hand and creating an amazing sauce from scratch. That is the process, and the outcome is that you own every piece of the process of the customer journey. You are dedicated to them. You are dedicated to yourself, to your business, to your brand story, and that's what self-publishers do. That's what they are great at. Um, the Charlie XCX she's a pop star. And Charlie XCX, she had a hard time finding her success for like the past 10 years. And her latest album is called Brat, really took off. And she owes a lot of that success to how she started owning her own marketing. She owned her social media, she owned the brand story, she owned what the timing of the launch, she owned all these different things. And yeah, she had help, but she was the expert at it. And she was orchestrating all of it. What
Yes.
was the result? Her brand became one of the most incredible music brands of what was it, like the past 2 years or something, because she learned that she can't outsource this stuff anymore. She's got to own it. And she did. It was an amazing result as a result of it.
Absolutely. There's a couple of things that I could talk about there. The first thing that I'm going to say, and I use this line a lot on the show, is defending your position.
Mhm.
I use White Castle a lot of times. White Castle still makes their own buns, right? They own
Really?
every single process from cradle to grave. They own their building, they own their
I
lot,
did
they make
not
their
know
own
that.
buns, they make their own beef, they own their own cows, right? Because they want to control the
Yeah.
quality as it comes
Yeah.
through. So it's not it's a pretty wild thing, and it's really cool. Defending your position is really
Yeah.
important. And
Yeah.
if you're self-published, then you are defending your position. You own
Yeah.
100% of the intellectual property. And what that means for you is that you get to do what you want to do. At the end of the day, I do have a silent partner in Cox Out. They're helping me live my life for the next year in my year of turmoil. But it's a silent partner. I've got the contract. I can do what I want. They get a financial cut at the end, uh, but they don't have any um, artistic say so over anything that I do on the publishing. I do have to publish though, and it's keeping me uh, it's keeping me writing.
Yeah.
But if you have a publisher or you sign with a network or any of those things, you have other humans
Mhm.
telling you how to do your art.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you're doing art, I don't think that there's a place for that. If you're doing business, that's a different story. And if you're comfortable doing that, then do that. I feel like the things that I create need to create a significant value, a meaningful value. One of my core values is creating a meaningful value to my clients,
Mhm.
right? If I don't create a meaningful value, then I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good to me. So that is one of my core values. And I have found that I cannot do that the way I feel good about if I have other people telling me you can't say that, or you can't be that blunt, or you can't be that honest, or you need to pull this
Mm.
back, and you're sharing too much, or you got to use
Right.
this image instead of that image.
Sure.
And my finished product has to be my finished.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah.
And if you go with the publisher, you might have an easier path in some way,
Yes. Yes.
but you'll
100%.
end up,
Yes. No one's denying that.
I think you'll end up right where Renee was, standing on a stage talking about rainwater, making good money, but not liking who they are as a human.
Wow.
And if you've ever been there,
Wow.
it's not a great place to be.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
work
so
on the
yeah, you
things
can
you
only
love.
experience it to really know what that feels like.
It's
Yeah.
weird. And the bitch is, and I'd like to hear your point here. You're gonna feel that in success, even if the success is wildly in your domain.
Yeah.
I am I
Definitely.
have a Golden Gloves champion. I own the biggest boxing school in my district, and I still have a little bit of, am I supposed to be doing this?
Uh-huh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So even when
Yeah.
you're good at it and it is in your domain, you're gonna have a little bit of imposter syndrome. So when it's
Yeah.
not in your domain,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've come to value that internal stability more than anything that I've ever done in business. And if you've never experienced that shaky ground, maybe you don't know what it feels like. But to know without a shadow of a doubt, this is exactly who I am. This is exactly what we're doing. This is exactly our message. No one can take that away from me. I mean, Taylor Swift bought back the rights to all of her albums because she was tired of someone telling her how she's going to do it, how she's going to market. Da, 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 da. Dua Lipa recently bought back all the rights to her music because she didn't know what she was signing when she signed that contract with her publishing, with her music deal. It's the same thing. When you sign with a publisher, you're signing away what you don't know. And someone gets to profit on that. And that's fine for a lot of people. So many impactful, meaningful authors do that. But if you are going into it with just the idea that you can't be bothered to understand the process and you can't be bothered to own your brand and your message, then it's not just go through the self-publishing process. You gotta know how to do this.
And I'll tell you, and I believe it's the same thing that I'm telling people about stand-up comedy right now.
Hmm.
I do stand-up comedy as much as possible because it gets me on stages, regardless of become a good comedian or not.
Huh.
I'm getting reps of pitching, of talking on the fly, on being on stage. I'm getting those reps in
Yes.
a way that is wildly beneficial to me and my business long term. If you do the self-publishing process, then you'll
Mhm.
understand that entire marketing thing. And it's just another modality that you can get your message out to the
Yeah,
world.
exactly. And I mean, shameless plug, I'm just gonna say it, but in our program, we intentionally put you in podcast training. You are there to get the reps in, to fail, to skin your knees, so that when you're on that podcast, Penguin Random House isn't going to teach you how to appear on a podcast. They could if they wanted to, but they don't. They want to sign you because they know that they can profit off your audience and your message. If you want to show up in a way that actually shares your message and your message is impacting the right people, you got to practice. You got to know how to ask people for reviews. You got to pitch to podcasts. You got to show up on podcasts. You got to continuously be sharing your message over and over and over. And that's how Robert Kiyosaki actually, he was a self-published author. He did that. And that's why he's now the number one best-selling finance
Still
author of all
doing
time.
it.
Still
I
doing
still see guy on
exactly.
podcast today. Right.
Exactly.
And I still do podcast. I
Exactly.
mean, I don't even know how many podcasts I've done at this point. Like I'm over
Yeah.
400 episodes of my own, and I
That's
try to do
incredible.
2 or 3 a week. If I can get 5 in a week, I
Amazing.
try to do it. Right. It's good reps. You know, I don't care if 5 people see it. It's 5 more people that get my
Yeah.
message. And my
Yeah.
message is all over the board. So it's got a bunch of different messages. Renee, if somebody's out there and they're watching this show, and not necessarily if they want to write a book, what I want to know is who can you help the most? If they come to you, they say, hey, this is where I'm at. And you're like, oh, like the juiciest customer that if they're watching it, who's the juiciest customer that can come to you? And then
Yeah.
how would they find you?
Yes. The juiciest customer, the person who's, like, ripe, who is that, like, brown banana and the back on your and the countertop, someone who's ripe, overripe, is someone who wrote a book about something that they're passionate about and that they help other people with. They have a signature methodology, they help people in their own special way, and they wrote a book about it. And whether you worked with a publisher, whether you worked with a self-publisher, a hybrid publisher, whatever kind of publisher, it flopped, so to speak. It did not reach the heights that you wanted it to. Flopped is a subjective word, but if you flopped, you know that feeling. You're stinging with the pain of embarrassment. And, you're like, why did my book not do as well as it could have? Because you are prime for a relaunch. A relaunch is when we take what you have, we examine what worked, what didn't work, and we make a few tweaks. And we then put it through the lightning book launch method, which uses Amazon and podcasting to help you amplify your message and help you sell thousands of books. My client Amy is currently doing this right now. She had 45,000 TikTok followers and she published a book and said, "Hey, 45,000 TikTok followers, please buy this." They did not. They did not buy it. And so she is now relaunching her book right now, and it was just accepted by the New York Times for an editorial review, which will open the door, hopefully, possibly, for her book to get on the New York Times bestseller list. No promises, but this is possible, and you're hungry, you're on fire, like something didn't go right. I know it's possible. It is possible. You deserve success.
And how do they find you? How do they get?
Well, how do they find me? So you can go to Smokin, that's SMOKIN dash hotbooks.com.
And we'll
So
put that link
Smokin,
in the description so you can just click it if you're watching on YouTube,
yes.
or if you're listening, it'll be in the show notes.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Renee, I've had such a good time talking with you as I always do. My
Yes,
favorite
likewise, Ken.
podcast is Diary of a CEO. And at the end of every show, Steven asks his guest to write a question for the next guest. And I bought the deck of cards that he sells because, well, he could put out
That's what you
almost
do when you're a
anything and
fan.
I'd probably buy it. Are you ready for your question?
Oh my gosh.
These are
Yeah, I'm prepared.
handwritten, and this one's from Josh Peck. What have you done recently for someone else?
What have I done recently for someone else? Well, what I can say is that my mom recently looked after my cat, and she's an amazing person. She yeah, she was in an abusive marriage for all of my when I was growing up, so I watched it happen. And she is one of the most generous people that I still know. She has not lost an inkling of her love, her generosity, her wanting to help people. And so recently, so she baked a cake for me for my birthday, and she put it on like a little plate, and I was like, okay, something, I want her to have like a really great cake stand. So I recently ordered a beautiful cake stand that matched one of the plates that I have in my own house. Because she said that she loved that color. So I bought the matching cake stand for her and surprised her with it. And now it sits in her cabinet, and she loves it, and she'll have it for her the next cakes that she bakes.
That is wonderful. I love it. I appreciate the time you took to answer that because I had to rack my brain for a couple seconds. And I do some nice things for people. And the other night, I wrote a song for a couple of elementary school friends that I had. And I wrote a song about about an incident that we had together as like when we were 12. And
Yeah.
I used Suno to produce it. And I sent it to both of them. And I was like, hey guys, I was just thinking about this. And I wrote this song and
Awesome.
I produced it and I sent it to you guys. I think that kind of thing with AI can be done so much different. And we can give really meaningful gifts of
Hmm.
art to people on an
Yeah.
individual level. It's no longer that you write a song that takes you. I have songs that I've wrote for over 200-300 hours,
Oh my gosh.
right?
Yeah.
On a song. I've got a friend, Byron, who's a gold. I think he got a platinum album now. Um, but he taught me years ago. Whenever you write a song and you have it produced, you listen to it in your car, in an elevator, on headphones, and earbuds, and all of these things, right?
Hmm.
And listen to it in all these different environments. Like you got to go to a club and listen to it. You got to go to a bar and listen to it. You got to all these
Hmm.
things. So you do put a lot of effort into them. But the speed in which you can create the music now is just so wild. You could do crazy
Yeah.
stuff with Suno.
That's
So
awesome.
I would recommend doing that for your friends and families and loved ones,
That's a
and
great idea.
make really personalized art
That's
for your friends and
beautiful.
family, which is really cool. If you're
That's
out there and you're
awesome.
watching, and I think this is probably a question I'm going to have to ask myself every week moving forward in life because we get caught up in our own stuff and we just live our lives. And when I asked that question, I was like, oh crap, what have I done for somebody that wasn't transactional? Right.
Hmm.
Because I put that in my head really quickly. Like, I do
Hmm.
a lot of stuff for people every month that's transactional, right? You pay your bill this month, I'll do this thing
Exactly.
for you.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but just out of pure love for somebody or desire doing it is a different thing, I think, and that's really
Yeah.
cool. So
Yeah.
please, if you've done something for somebody and you want to share it in the comments, do that. Renee, I've had
Yes.
a great time talking with you today. Thank you so much for showing up and being with us, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me on.